Check out this free video and make sure you hit like and subscribe.
When it gets right down to it, this has brought up a lot about AEW shows. It was very, very long. And a lot of times, Tom, in my opinion, even if I don't love everything they do on there, they supersize those shows and their fans seem to love it, tend to love it, because there's a lot on the show that they say is, that was for me, that was really good. I don't know if these matches from top to bottom ended up being as great as past AEW cards, which I think added to some of the fatigue as it went along. But what did you think about the show, which I thought was good, but again, boy, was it unfortunately kind of a slog at times to get through.
Yeah, as I look back through my notes and as I watched it as well, obviously it was a long show. You know, actually, in Dave's report, he mentioned the Young Bucks didn't get to the building until 10 p.m. They did a run-in in the main event, and they didn't get there until 5 hours into the pay-per-view portion of the show. Is that correct? That tells you how long of an event it was. But when I look back through my notes, there was nothing that was bad. There were some, what I would say were really, really good matches. Kevin Knight, Will Ospreay, which opened it up. I was really intrigued, actually, by the Hurt Syndicate against the Learning Tree, because I wanted to see how much was Big Bill going to get. And to be fair, the answer was quite a bit from the Hurt Syndicate. They actually played heels for the majority of the match and gave Big Bill the big hot tag, and he looked like a monster out there. Mercedes and Julia had some weird moments, but the crowd loved it. And everything, like I said, everything was good. Fletcher and Mark Briscoe, these two cannot miss. They're kind of like Andrade and Mello. Just put them in there, let them have a best of 7 or best of 40 that we never talk about. Let them go at it. Jericho and Bandito, I thought was good, but it didn't need to be on this show. I thought it could have been on a different show with actually a bigger spot. Made it more, made the stakes feel higher. We had a world championship going against a mask for a luchador, and I thought that they could have, headlined a Dynamite and maybe gotten more out of it. Daniel Garcia lost to Adam Cole. Ricochet, Speedball, and Omega was just fantastic from start to finish. If you're going to watch one thing from this show, that would be the one to watch, because they did so many creative three-way spots in that AEW International title match that you're never going to see again. You're not going to see them in other three-way matches because most of the time the guys aren't at this level. And I thought everybody here was awesome. They went around 30 minutes, and the finish was one of the coolest ones I've seen in a long time. Omega's going for the one-winged angel on Mike Bailey, but Ricochet pushed them towards the ropes. So Bailey ends up almost sitting on the ropes, kind of hooked into him. Omega and Ricochet also end up on the top rope. Ricochet goes for a top rope poison Rana, but Omega lifts him in the air, hits an avalanche one-winged angel, and is just far away enough from Mike Bailey, who was hung in the Tree of Woe, that Bailey could not.
Tree of Woe.
He could not break up the pin, and just from start to finish, one of the most creative matches I've ever seen in wrestling. So if you watch one thing from that show, that's what I would make it. And then, we could talk about this main event if you want.
Yeah, and the only thing I'll add in on the three-way is it probably, in hindsight being 2020, it went a little bit too long because I did think they lost them. And yes, it's not like they lost the crowd completely, because a lot of the night was people having to fight and get the crowd into the match, like Monet and Julia. It was hampered at first, but the more the crowd got into it as it went along. But Okada coming down and the Okada-Omega match, I know it means a lot, and it's not going to be, I wouldn't think, the main event of All In. I still think they need to get a lot more behind Okada for that to be as impressive a match as it would have been 5 years ago, and as impressive as it was 5 years ago in New Japan. I think they need to get a lot more behind Okada to kind of get him up to Omega's level, because Omega in this match was fantastic, as you mentioned. Those three-way spots were incredible. If you don't like these three guys, there's nothing we can tell you that will make you like the match or want to see it. You know, Speedball Mike Bailey is the king of the scramble, that is for sure, because three-way matches with him being involved in it just seemed to be perfect. But we'll also
He's also the hardest I've ever been kicked in my life.
By Bailey?
Is by Speedball Mike Bailey.
Damn.
Thanks for checking out this video. Don't forget, like and subscribe.